Detroit Lions fans, happy day after Thanksgiving. Hopefully, uh, the football game didn't ruin your day as it did. It took a toll on mine. I'm going to be honest. We got through it, enjoyed some family stuff. Hopefully, you did too. This is a week that I was super excited for, Steve. I was planning on spending a lot of time at Ford Field. The Lions game for Thanksgiving. I'm headed back up there now, right after this podcast, to go watch some state finals football. Then you got Michigan, Ohio State, and then I'm right back to Ford Field on Sunday to go watch some more uh, state finals high school football. So I was planning on just having an enjoyable time at Ford Field. To be honest, I'm having a little bit of PTSD thinking about being back in that building. So it was not as planned. But Steve, we get on here, man. Honestly, we try to be transparent with the people who are bless us with watching our show. We get on here right after the football games and we talk. And sometimes those conversations are an emotional response to what just happened. And then the day after, we get a time to decompress, to really think about it, watch some film, maybe watch some interviews, just recoup your thoughts. So a lot of things were said yesterday, Steve. Uh, but now the 24-hour rule. If you coach at all or you know anything about the 24-hour rule, you get that 24 hours to just decompress and really get your thoughts. I want to see where we're at now, Steve. I want to see what's going on in that pretty little head of yours, and I want the world to know what's going on in mine. So, Steve, I'm gonna toss something at you. Basically, I guess kind of the premise of where I want to start this thing, and let's see if we stay there and we end up somewhere else. But I'm looking at the Detroit Lions as a team that is an above average football team. We've been talked about as having a Super Bowl window, and that's not something that I feel right now. I don't feel like a team that's in the Super Bowl window. Yesterday, I felt like we were the second best team at Ford Field yesterday. That's how I felt at the game. So if you agree or you don't agree with that, I would like to know. And if you do agree, who's to blame?
Second best football team yesterday was Divine Child not out there doing a little scouting in the stadium. Was
Yeah,
there not
oh
some high
man.
school teams maybe in the stands getting like some walkthroughs in? I don't know if we were the second best team. We damn sure weren't the first.
Yeah,
Damn sure
right.
weren't the first team. Well, I'll tell you this: it's looking like my weekend is just not going to be good. I think the highlight of my weekend was either A, getting pulled over by a Michigan State trooper yesterday on the way to the game. Let me off the hook. Super cool guy. First time I had a positive interaction with a state trooper ever. Or it's a toss up between
Yes,
that
sir.
or going Black Friday shopping. And if you know me, you know how much I despise shopping crowds, shopping traffic, all that. But it's between that, the state trooper, or buying the washing machine for the house today is looking like the excitement of the Perkins household for the weekend because this was supposed to be a loaded sports weekend. Well, we had the Pistons playing, they lost. Red Wings playing on Wednesday and today, lost both games. Lions lost yesterday. Michigan Wolverines, save my life tomorrow, please. I'm a man on the edge. I don't got a lot to look forward to right now. Okay, like I'm just wondering why the good Lord keeps putting oxygen in my body because it's just not
Right.
very pleasant down here for me in the sports world. My mind hasn't changed at all. Will my mind hasn't
Okay.
changed at all about anything I said yesterday? We had actually a couple hours before we recorded last night with some family stuff going on, dinners, Thanksgiving, all that stuff. But my mind hasn't changed at all. In regards to being the best football team, it was the Green Bay Packers yesterday. It wasn't even relatively close. I don't think defense, offense. I thought we had some good special teams plays with Tom Kennedy doing some returns, but not enough. But yeah, we were definitely the second place team yesterday. If it was a two horse race,
Steve, for those that are familiar, all 22 comes out after the last football game is played. So haven't got an opportunity to watch it from the all 22 version, but I did get an opportunity to watch the condensed football game uh, on the NFL Network and rewatch the game. And
all
it
22.
wasn't
That's
good.
almost the amount of points the Lions scored yesterday as well.
Yeah, it wasn't it wasn't good, man. And I just when I
Speak your
really
piece, Will. It's bugging you. I could tell. Speak your piece.
it is, and I'm going to, but it's just really when I think about this thing at the totality of it, like just all the way around, who our personnel is, including injuries. Okay, injuries accounted for. Is there some coaching things that I would like to see changed? some things we would like to do that we get in and we talk about on the pod. Yeah, man, absolutely. But to me, that's splitting hairs. Does the Dan Campbell going forward on fourth down thing bother me a little bit? I try not to let it bother me because he's going to do what he's going to do. So I try not to think about that as much. We just got to have the guys that can execute and get it done. And I watched the Green Bay Packers who were doing the same thing that we were doing. They're going for it on fourth down right at their goal line. If they don't get those fourth down conversions, are they going to be having the same opposite conversations? Man, your coach shouldn't have been going for it on fourth down. Your coach should have took three. Your coach. So that stuff, Steve, while I love to get on here and banter about it, it's not what's really bothering me at my core. What's really bothering me at my core, and I know it's kind of a crazy conversation, but it's Brad Holmes, man. Brad Holmes is deeply bothering me at my core. And we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and we both dropped some thoughts, but just even sleeping on it, it just got worse for me. Sleeping on it, waking up, looking at stuff, thinking about stuff, it just made it worse to me. I started thinking about the team that we had in the NFC Championship game a couple of seasons ago. Have we I'm sorry, substantially better than that team over the course of two drafts, right? Two football drafts, right? We couldn't find a pass rush in two football drafts. We couldn't
Mm-mm.
find somebody opposite in two free agencies and two football drafts. We couldn't find somebody opposite of Aiden Hutchinson in those two drafts. Like, I don't know, Steve. The whole like Ennis Rakestraw. When I really start thinking about Ennis Rakestraw, it just pisses me off more and more. Like when you think about who was on the board, you got TA, right? You got TA, you know that you're gonna go either keep a guy like Carlton Davis or you're gonna go get another corner in free agency. We ended up going to grab DJ Reed. We already had a Meek. Ennis Rakestraw was not a need at that point. And I know Brad keeps saying all of this witty, clever, smartest guy in the room stuff. Hey, I don't draft for need. I draft the players that we like and the players that fit. Injured players fit the Detroit Lions. Like the players with injury history. Steve, we did a scouting report podcast and we talked about how we liked Ennis Rakestraw, and Ennis Rakestraw could be a guy who the Detroit Lions are taking a strong look at if they didn't have. And we had like five guys ranked above him, but hey, there was a potential like Kool-Aid McKinstry and Terry and Arnold and I forget off the top of my head now the guy that I really liked that was out there
Oh,
ended up getting picked up for the Baltimore Ravens.
oh, hang on. Well, I got all the information. While you're talking, I'm doing the homework for you. Will you just keep preaching to the people? Are you referring to a possible Cooper Beebe, who I know doesn't play for the Ravens, but that's a guy we were high on in the draft who was
Oh
drafted
yeah, absolutely. But I wouldn't
after
even
Ennis
yeah.
Rakestraw. What
Yeah, I
about
was
your
just saying if he that
what?
corner, like I forget the corner that's playing with the Baltimore Ravens that I liked.
I'm
Speedy guy.
trying
We
to
talked.
Juju Benson or Juju
No, he's
Julius
young.
Brents.
Nah, the kid from from Clemson. But just to say, why you're looking, if you're looking, but there was abundance of other corners that were out there besides Ennis Rakestraw that for a direction that we could have went, or we ended up, if we didn't make a deal for TA, we draft Ennis Rakestraw, and then you draft somebody else after him that fits a little bit in a better situation. Like I don't understand what the thought process of drafting two corners was. I don't know, Steve. It's I know that you could say hindsight is 2020, but I don't even feel like this is hindsight stuff, man. Uh, Brad Holmes, for some silly reason, believed that we didn't need linemen or rushers for some reason, and I'm watching these dudes impact other teams, for the Ravens, for the Rams. Steve, the Rams have three players that we were drooling over. The Green Bay Packers have three players that we were drooling over. The Philadelphia Eagles have three players that we were drooling over. And then they continue to bolster at trade deadlines. They continue to make moves at trade deadlines. We are a above average football team, Steve. And I can see Brad just being complacent right now is even pissing off your daughter, Steve, and I'm with her. Like it
No, yeah,
is
she's not happy.
not happy about it, man. I am just, and you know what I want, Steve, because not nobody's gonna be perfect, and hindsight is 2020. But what's really pissing me off is the press conferences when I really start to go back and how he almost all the fans are gonna be. I said it yesterday, but then the more and more I think about it, it just pisses me off more, Steve. I don't know. The fans think that that we need this and we're fine, we're okay, and I like what we have, and I understand, where the guys are coming from, but it's not what we need right now. I don't see it. You said it yesterday. Dude Love is still standing in the pocket, waiting to throw the ball wherever he wants to throw the ball, Steve. Jameis Winston came out and looked like a first number one or all draft pick where he hasn't looked like that in quite some time. Uh I just want Brad, Steve. I guess this is what would give me a little bit of a warm and fuzzy moving forward. I just want Brad to come to the podium, similar to the humble way that Coach Campbell comes to the podium at times, and just say, "Hey, listen, maybe I messed this up. Maybe I should have brought a pass rusher in." Because every time he hits that podium, Steve, he comes from a place that we're idiots as fans, podcasters, broadcasters, ESPN analysts, all of the people. We're idiots. He's a genius. That's where he sits at that podium. But he's not showing it to me. I'm seeing desperation because to me, Aleem McNeil at defensive end in a pass rush situation is desperation because you ain't got nobody else that can create a pass rush. So, Steve, are you upset with Brad? Are you content with what Brad's doing? Where are you sitting with Brad Holmes right now?
Let me be very clear that I am by no means calling for Brad Holmes to be on a hot seat or fired at all. But I think he does have to take a look in the mirror, like you said, like Dan Campbell's been doing. You got to at least just hint at like, hey, we got some stuff we got to get right. Falls. I don't know what he has to say, but I don't think he should be fired. But I think I know when he made the big mistake. Will I think after that 2023 NFC Championship game, I'm looking at the 2024 NFL Draft, and that was a time to get over that hump. That was a time to get it past the San Francisco 49ers. And we hosted a game that year, 15-2. I get it. But when I read off these names, Will, or if I'm just even looking at them, 2024 draft was a swing and a miss. We essentially drafted special teamers and question marks. Terrion Arnold, solid starter. Rakestraw, I don't know how many games he has played, less than 5, I would guess, in almost 3 years now. Giovanni Manu on the sidelines yesterday in a t-shirt. Sione Vaki, special teamer. Makai Wingo, an undersized defensive tackle. Christian Mahogany, still don't even exactly know what we have out of him because it's still such a small sample from what's he played, 9 games maybe. So he hasn't even played a full season. So the only one you're coming out of that draft with that's made an impact is Terrion Arnold. Got to get more than that. Looking at the 2025, this past year, Tyleik Williams, Tate Ratledge, Isaac Tesla starting, Miles Frazier, nowhere to be seen yet. Ahmed Hassanin, nowhere to be seen yet. Dan Jackson out for the year. Dominic Lovett, special teamer. Like, we're not drafting starters anymore. And there's not a lot of jobs up for grabs. I get that. We're also not fixing what we need to fix in free agency. So when you pile that together, you have questionable drafts and questionable free agency, you're going to regress. You're not. And I know 15-2 was never going to probably happen again, but the fact that this team's won 7 games, some of them by the skin of their teeth, sneaking out some wins here and there, a couple dominating wins. But I mean, if you lose that Giants game, this conversation's a whole nother route. Like, it's no doubt in my mind. Like the trajectory of the season is it's probably on critical life support, and I think it's almost on critical life support. So, in my opinion, and I'll take the camera, I'll spin it around, just a dude in his office, a little extra space in the house where I've dedicated as my man cave that no one can touch, and even that's still kind of fought for every day. But just a dude in my office. But there's names out there that we have talked about in depth. We're like, hey, this would be a great fit for the Lions. Cooper Beebe. I'm looking at some other names from the 2024 draft that we passed on. Where was he? He was in round 3. Let me go back. Bear with me 1 second. Zach Zinner, a name we were pretty high on. Jalen McMillan, a wide receiver. He's kind of hit or miss, but we don't always hit him either. And then your guy, William, that you were begging the Detroit Lions to take in the 3rd round. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Peyton Wilson, NC State.
Oh my gosh, I wanted him so bad. Like,
I mean,
oh
Brad's
gosh.
just too many question marks, too many projects. It's like, I don't know what his mindset was after that NFC Championship game. Like, I don't think that was the time to get cute. And I get it. We're almost 3 years past that, so we have all the hindsight. We have more information to process and have this conversation than he did at the time of the draft. But when we talked about Ennis Rakestraw, The question mark for why he wasn't a first round pick was injuries. What's he been since he's been with the Detroit Lions? Injured. Like, it's just, if the shoe fits, you got to wear it, Brad. Like, we're not scouts, we're not NFL scouts, just dudes in our offices looking up some YouTube stuff, going back and watching some games. And like, dang, dude, like this guy can play football. He's playing against SEC or ACC talent. Like, who's the offensive lineman? This guy, like, we look at all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got to take a bite of the shit pie, and he's got to get it right this offseason because this team is regressing, I think. Like, that 2023 team was special, and everyone was kind of like, man, if we make the playoffs, great. Let's get that monkey off our back. Let's win the division. Let's win a couple playoff games. That box is checked. What's the next box? Get to a Super Bowl. I don't think that's happening this year. Could it happen next year? Possibly, but I'm not betting on it in 2025.
Steve, you said something, and I agree mostly, but I will say I'm starting to have some thoughts. So you said that Brad is by no means in the hot seat.
Oh
I'm
boy,
not gonna
yeah.
say Brad. I'm not gonna say Brad's in the hot seat. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. But here's what I am thinking, Steve, and I am starting to question: is Brad the guy before the guy? And here's what I mean by that: is Brad the guy that took us from not in the conversation to high level competitor, and then the next guy is just gonna come chip in. Chip in from the lip, man. Is he gonna be the one, hey man, knocks this thing home, man? Because Brad can't continue to be stubborn, and I don't know what the timetable is. It's not next season. Like Brad's not in the hot seat, but he can't continue to not move the needle. Like he took this thing from here to here, but now we're staying here, and I would say we're even going from here. Ah, we're in this window now, but we're not taking that next step to the next level. How long is Sheila going to let that go on? Because this window is only going to last so long before we're going to have to start to recycle players, and all of these young guys are going to be veterans trying to get that second contract, and you're going to be having to decide, do you keep these guys in comparison with rookies that you drafted, and in comparison with the salary cap, Steve. So it is something that's starting to float around my head because he's obviously a stubborn guy because he comes to the podiums, and if you really look at what Brad does at these podiums, he disregards how the fans feel, and to a certain degree, I don't even want to say just disregards. He says, "Hey, I hear the fans, but the fans don't know what the f they talking about. I'm the genius here." Right, which respect it. Hey, like it's a reason why he's the GM of the Detroit Lions. But I would also say, Steve, you've made mention of this. I've seen what some of these GMs do behind the scenes. If you watched Hard Knocks with the Giants, there's some weird stuff that happens. So not every GM is a genius, and GMs aren't above making mistakes. He goes to that. He goes up there and he says these things. You got to back it up, or at some point we got to go try to get the Howie Roseman of the world. Like we got to go get somebody who's gonna say, "Hey, listen, we got the guys. We're this close. Now we got to go get Phillips." Now, because there were so many guys, Steve. There was if you didn't make it in a draft, okay, didn't get it in a draft. Okay, you're telling me that I couldn't have went and got my man from the Titans, man, or I couldn't have went and got Granderson, or I couldn't have like there was just so many just mid-level dudes, not even anything crazy, but just somebody who could just help us for a fourth or a third round pick, right? Or I know the Lions didn't have a third round pick because we decided that we needed Isaac Tesla so bad that we had to give up three third round picks, three third round picks, three third round picks for Tesla, a dude that we're not even throwing the football. Like the dude had 5 targets on the seasons, and we needed to give up three third round picks. Like it's
Three
wild to
touchdowns
me that
though.
that's not.
Three touchdowns so
Yeah,
well.
yeah, but it's got to be in a conversation of. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm saying if he wasn't going to get utilized due to the personnel that we already had, maybe there was a personnel issue that we should have focused on. Because me, Steve, when I think about this thing, when we talked about the draft, this last draft class, we said there isn't a lot of positions that are open, Steve, but the positions that we did talk about being open were offensive lineman positions, right? And pass rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. And that was something that Brad said, I think we're good. I think we're
Yeah.
good. We're not gonna get a true center, even though it's been talked about that Frank may be retiring. And as it ended up coming out, that was a conversation that Frank had openly that it was on the table. So during the draft, During the draft, Steve, Brad Holmes knew that there was a potential that Frank might retire. I think that changes things too, and that's got to be a part of the conversation. He did not draft a center, even though he knew that there was a potential that Frank might retire. He decided to go in a direction of, hey, we're going to draft a Tate Ratledge, and we'll try to make him a center if Frank retires. Like that's you got a Super Bowl team, right? We got a team that's in a Super Bowl window, and you got an All-Pro Pro Bowler that's talking about retiring, and you're not going to make moves to make sure that you get a center.
And on top of that, you let Kevin Zeitler out the door for $9 million.
What are we talking about, Steve?
But Will, the pass rush has been attempted to fix on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson. Every single draft, I'm looking at it right now, since Aiden Hutchinson was drafted in 2022, he's tried. He's really, really tried, Will. 3 times. Every single pick, he's made exactly the same pick in the 6th round, a defensive lineman. A defensive lineman in the 6th round. Now, that is a reach. You're probably not going to find a starting caliber defensive end in round 6. Makai Wingo, not a lot of action. Round 6 this past year, Ahmed Hassadin, not a lot of action. Come from a small-time school, hasn't played a lot of football. And then if you want to add, just for shits and giggles, so I know he's not an edge, Broderick Martin, no longer with the team. You want to take another shot, Will? How about James Houston, also in round 6? Like, Brad, if you want to get someone productive at that position, it's got to be earlier than round 6. Got to be. First 2 rounds. You're not going to find a gem every single year in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round picks. And I'll say this, Will. I'm just over here hammering the keys while you're talking. I'm just stroking these bad boys. The Los Angeles Rams should still be in a rebuild right now. They should still be. Instead, they're the number 1 team in probably the NFL, in my opinion. And you know what? They've lost a Hall of Fame defensive tackle, and all they've done is just replace it through the draft without having a 1st-round pick and have hit home run after home run. And Steve, we're not a Ram. We don't really care about the Rams. We're tied with the Rams, believe it or not. We're tied with them for as long as Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford are playing football. It's always going to be mentioned. There's always going to be talks about the 2 teams. Stafford, they won their Super Bowl. Then they lose Aaron Donald. They draft Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Kobe Turner, Kobe Durant, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse. They're just hitting dingers left and right over there. Well, every draft they're getting 2 or 3 solid starters and then 1 or 2 solid role players. Brad, usually when a guy moves into a position with another team, they try to bring some guys with them. We just saw Ben Johnson do it. He took half of the coaching staff with him. A couple guys went with Aaron Glenn. Can't think of anyone who came from the Rams with Brad Holmes who has some information, some scouts, like someone to at least be like an assistant or head of scouting or assistant scout, like someone to be in your ear who's comes from a program with the Rams and says, hey, man, I'm going to the Detroit Lions. You want to come with me? I'll give you this position. We'll rebuild this thing. He did great. I'm not going to say that his drafts the first 2 years here weren't absolutely brilliant. Going back to 2022, we got Hutch, we got J-Mo, Pascal, question mark, Kirby Joseph, stud, James Mitchell, Malcolm Rodriguez, Houston sucks. 2021, first ever draft pick by Brad Holmes. Penei Sewell, Levi Onwuzurike on the shelf. Aleem, doing solid. Iffy, not on the team. St. Brown, home run. Derek Barnes, average, slightly above average. Like, it's just not the same. Like, when I'm just thinking about how where Brad came from in L.A., comes here, makes a blockbuster trade with Goff and Goff and Stafford right off the rip, like first 2 weeks in office. I don't know, Will. I just look at the Rams and I'm like, how is this team being successful? Well, they got a GM that doesn't care about picks. He's going to go out and get massive impact players like Stafford. He's going to build around that, and he's going to take 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounders, and he's just going to hit home runs nonstop every draft.
F them picks.
Fun coupons. That's what they are. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But you know what I was doing last night, Will?
Talk to me.
I was in a dark place. Last night. I try not to do this. This was like the old Steve Perkins, like looking at mock drafts and all that. And I just got back into that last night, like just looking at mock draft stuff, upcoming free agents. I'm sitting there just drooling at some of these NFL players. If they hit the free agent mark, we'll be just fine. But I have some question marks of if those players are even going to leave the teams that they're currently on. So I'm not going to spill all the beans. Tyler Linderbaum, Center for the Ravens. That fixes massive problems right there. Just one pick. If he leaves the the Ravens, I'll pay for his ticket to Detroit. I'll pay for his ticket. I'll pay for him to fly to Detroit and have a meeting with Brad Holmes. That's how much we need a dominant center. But I don't know. Well, it's frustrating. We've had some time to think about it. This isn't a reaction where the game just ended 20 seconds ago. This is some time to sit on it. These are my feelings. I believe these are your feelings. Anything else on your
Hmm.
mind?
Yeah, man. Well, the last thing that I'll say is I want to know where the fans sit because I've been hearing a lot. My phone absolutely exploded. Is it over? A lot of people are saying it's over. Playoffs over. I don't feel like that. I don't feel like we're out. The playoffs are over. I still think that we can make the playoffs as a wild card team. Division now. Division is you need all
You need a
types
lot
of
of
help.
help. Yeah,
Yeah,
too
you
much to
need all
count on.
types. Yeah. So definitely not counting on that. But I'm still planning on being in the playoffs and hopefully getting hot and making a run. But it just doesn't seem uh probable, right? It doesn't seem like the most likely that we're gonna be a Super Bowl caliber team anymore. Just because there's no more free agency. Uh, your team is pretty much your team. We're going to be looking at missing Sam Laporta for the season or just a big chunk of time. St. Brown is about to miss a chunk of time. I don't see this pass rush getting fixed throughout this season. Uh, to me, that's all things that definitely handcuffs us on the Super Bowl run. But not completely giving up hope. Long as we're snapping that football, we got a chance, man. But we better make some moves. Personnel, coaching. Brad Holmes needs to come to that podium.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how big is Thursday's game with the Dallas Cowboys in your mind?
10.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 10.
Because the Lions don't have tiebreakers over the Packers. Depending on what the Bears do, you might not have a tiebreaker over them for a wild card, and you're probably not winning the division. So if I'm looking at teams you need to beat for an edge in the wild card, the Cowboys are one of those teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they don't catch the Eagles, and then if the Eagles fall into a wild card spot, you don't got a tiebreaker over them either. So those are
Yeah,
two teams in the NFC East that are probably going to make the playoffs that you haven't beat. So if it comes down to who gets that 7 seed, it ain't going to be us. So
yeah,
this is a massive game coming up. Like I believe that if the Lions lose Thursday, that percentage for playoffs drops in my mind, like down to 15%, 50% chance you make the playoffs because you haven't beaten any of the teams that you might be chasing.
yeah. You're dead on. I tip my hat.
And then if you
Must
want to
win.
talk,
Must
and then if
win.
you want to talk about another team maybe getting hot, if the Minnesota Vikings somehow figure out a way to put it together and sneak back into the hunt, right now you don't have a tiebreaker over them either. So you're really shooting
Right.
yourself in the foot if you don't beat the Cowboys this week. I just trying to paint the picture for you. Brad Holmes, he's safe. Just got to look in the mirror, figure out some stuff. Stop getting cute in the draft. Do something else in free agency. Get some things we need. I don't know. Still could get hot. Still could make the playoffs. Still could go on a run. But I'm a betting man. Well, I'm not putting my money on that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.